Good morning, happy Wednesday. Today is day to day, which I will tell you about in a little bit in case you don't know from last year's videos. But today is day to day and it is my second day back after a long vacation. Nope, a long weekend. It wasn't that long of a vacation, but we did go to New York City this past weekend to visit my sister. I did a whole little reel over on Instagram. It was a very quick trip. We were there for like 36 hours total, but we saw Aladdin on Broadway. We got some great dinners and we just got to walk around Times Square and do all the fun touristy things. So that was great. My plan was to kind of pop in yesterday and share a little bit. But coming in after that long weekend, I was not prepared, but I did get a little clip of me hanging up the little spiders. I'll put that clip right here. They look so cute. I'll flip this camera around so you can see it in a minute because I just love that little craft. But yeah, I wanted to share with you kind of what we are up to this week, what my students are working on, these projects back here, and then I'll share a little bit about what day to day actually is and what my plan is for the whole day today. Here are the little spiders. Of course, I have to hang like little magnets or binder clips on the ones over the heater because otherwise they just blow like crazy. But I actually thought they came out so cute and students had a lot of fun painting them and getting to make them last Friday. So it was a fun little break from our regularly scheduled academics. Okay, so first I thought I would take you through what we are up to this week in terms of what we're learning, and then I'll go over what day to day is, what it looks like, and I will get all my sub stuff ready for today because while I will be at school all day, I will not be teaching. So that means I do need to get all my sub plans out, which I already wrote them and everything. I just have to print out everything and make sure we're good to go. All right, let's walk through yesterday's slides. We have our good morning slide, of course. I did print out some cute little Halloween coloring sheets, and then Lakeshore actually sent over this sensory sand bin, which was a big hit with students. So I am only doing like 3 students at a time there just so they can explore it. And then lunch choices, morning meeting per usual. This is always a quick little reminder of our rug spots because sometimes I have friends that still don't go to their rug spots. So we need a reminder. And then we have Haggerty, of course, and into phonics. So we just started Unit 3 yesterday in Foundations, which means we are working on digraphs. So first we do a quick little letter sound review, and then always what sound do you hear in these words? Ch, chips, check, and cheese. Then we talk about the digraph, what a digraph is. We talk about the keywords, so ch, chin, ch. This is how your mouth should look when you're making that sound. And then we practice blending some words with ch in it. And we do that for sh, as well as th, as well as wh, and ck. So we do that for all of them, and then with CK, of course, I talk about how it only comes at the end of the word. We have not yet gotten into when we use CK and CK. We will do that soon. And then we talk about marking up the words. So I had students come up, they had to read the word and underline the digraph to remind us that the letters stay together to make one sound. Then we added it to our journal. We also did a little practice sheet, one of these phonics find its, and then I took out the heart words that we were supposed to learn yesterday because we're actually going to do that today instead. And then in writing, we are working on personal narratives. So we kind of talked about what a personal narrative is. We identified the parts of a personal narrative. And then today, our plan was to work together to actually plan one out. So we just reviewed what a personal narrative is. I talked about the writing process and how we're going to walk through that with our different writing pieces that we do this year. And then instead of brainstorming some ideas, I explained that today we're all going to write about the same experience. So our experience was freeze dance. So I had everybody spread out around the room and we just did our little freeze dance. I'm not going to play the whole thing. This was another option. I forgot to delete this slide. If it was nice out, another like joint experience could be a little nature walk. And then I passed out our say it and sketch it sheets. So these are very similar to what I've always used in the past, but I did add a box for our topic sentence, which we spent a lot of time kind of going over what should be in that, the who, what, where, and when. And then while students were at their seats, I went through each part of it and we did this together. So I just kind of modeled it. I took ideas from the class. I think we ended up writing, this morning, my classmates and I played freeze dance in our classroom. I think that's what we ended up saying, something like that. And that included the who, the what, the where, and the when. So as we said, it sets the stage for what our story will be about. And then we would say aloud what we did first and drew a quick sketch. So the first thing was, you know, Mrs. Jones said to stand up and spread out. So I drew a quick sketch of that. Then we did the freeze dance. So I did like a little music note here, and I showed some people dancing and freezing. And finally, we came over to the rug to start writing. So those were kind of the 3 steps that we said. And we just did this all together yesterday because it was students' first time walking through it. And then at the end, I had them actually share their plan with a friend by reading the pictures out loud. So they had to go through and kind of read the steps from beginning to middle to end. All those personal narrative slides that I just showed are in the SJT Writing Club. It just takes my personal narrative unit that's in there and it separates it and makes slides for it, since I always teach with slides. So I wanted to kind of add that. I'm going to be working on opinion writing next, making those slides, and then informational. And it also, I added a week in there to do like more of a guided practice, kind of like I shared with this one, where we're kind of doing one together and then I will have them go off and do it separately. So yeah, it just takes the unit that I already had and added slides to it to just make it a little more manageable and easier to use. So that was phonics, where we're doing digraphs. We are just beginning to really teach about personal narratives. And then in math, we are actually finishing up our addition and subtraction within 10 unit. So there's a lot in this chapter, and we're starting with those numbers, you know, 0 to 10, just so we can practice all of it. But we introduce fact families, we introduce balanced equations. Is this true? Is this not true? Mixed operations of, just not really mixed operations, but, you know, seeing an addition problem and a subtraction problem right after each other and having students identify what we're actually doing here, what operation they need to do. So there's a lot within there. And then on top of that, we already taught different subtraction strategies, different addition strategies. So this is a longer unit with the goal of teaching them all of that within 1 through 10. And then when we get to doing it again within numbers 1 through 20, they already have this background and we can probably move through it a little faster. So yesterday we introduced fact families. Let me show you how we did that. We have snack and recess after writing, and then when we came in, we did our calendar, and then I just used my math teaching slides for this. Fact families can be really tricky for students sometimes, so I just wanted to do like some hands-on practice. It says, how can you connect these numbers using these symbols? We talked about different ways we could do that, and we ended up coming up with the 4 members of the fact family for this. And then I explicitly explained what a fact family is, how they're related, kind of what it looks like. They had to practice making their own fact families, and this was really when I went around and just kind of tried to troubleshoot any students who needed some real help with this, just giving them some tips and some ideas for this fact family. But this is what they would do. They would just pull 2 cards and they would add them together to make the 3rd number, and then they had to try to fill out their fact family. So I'd say about half the students got this kind of right away. The other half struggled a little bit, and then when I was able to go around and help them, another of those half kind of got it. Now I have only about 3 or 4 that I can continue to work on with this. And then they just went off and did their own fact family practice sheet. And I don't know if you can see it, but down here, that bottom one is 5, 5, and 10, which is always a little tricky for students. So before we did this, I just pulled up like the whiteboard on my smartboard, and I gave another example with 4, 4, and 8 to share what that would kind of look like. And even when we flip-flop the fact, they still have the same add-ins. So they thought that was interesting. And then we talked about, hey, look at the top of this fact family house. It looks like a number bond. How is a number bond like a fact family? And we just kind of shared that relationship. So that was our whole math block, and then we went to lunch and recess. After that, we had WIN. So for WIN this week, we just have some practice with, for the independent station, they are doing a phonics find it with CK, some visual discrimination with TH, and then these star facts over here were for subtraction, but students had to color in only the ones that were true. In writing, they had a video assigned to them in Seesaw, the Where's My Mummy book, and then they would do their writing prompt in their journal to share their best candy. In math, we had Make Me 10. They'd played this before with 5, but now I want them really getting to know those combinations of 10. So they would spin this number here, whatever they landed on in their grid, they had to find what other number would help them make 10. And then whoever filled up their grid first wins. And of course, reading while they meet with me. This one has everybody's name, so it'll be all blurred out, but this is where they went for the day. And we had art. So after specials, we came back in and we are finishing up our EL pilot. Many of you already know, if you've been following along, we are piloting 2 programs this fall. We are piloting EL education, and that's finishing up, and then we are switching into HMH, into reading. We actually just had a 2-hour training last night for the HMH pilot. I am one of 2 first grade teachers who are piloting this, so it's nice that I have somebody else I'm doing it with so we can kind of discuss. But yesterday we started to finish up our project for EL. So the way EL works, and I won't go into too much depth because we've already talked about this a lot, but the way EL works is they start first with like a week or 2 of building background knowledge, and then we really go into some deep dives on different texts. The 2, you can't really see them right here, the 2 texts that we read the most were The Most Magnificent Thing and The Little Red Pen. So we did a lot of close reading around that. We also talked about different characters of habit, which let me take you over there just so you can see that real quick. Or I said characters of habit, didn't I? I meant habits of character. And we talked about initiative, collaboration, and perseverance, and how using those actually helps us create magnificent things. So we talked about all 3 of those within the Most Magnificent Thing book and within the Little Red Pen. And then we kind of connected it to the 3rd step, which is how we can use these habits of character and everything we've learned to actually create our own magnificent thing. So students planned it out all last week. They were with a partner. They had to plan out what thing they were going to make for the classroom, how it would help, what tools they would use, and they were really excited about it. And then yesterday they finally got to start building. So let me show you some of the projects that they are making. Okay, so over here, this little group was making a marker organizer. They don't like how all the markers are in just one big bucket and they're not organized by color. So they just started this little container, and they are inside are going to make little dividers so they can kind of divide it by color. Then we had another group make bathroom passes. So they have a girls pass and a boys pass that students can wear as they leave the classroom. This friend wanted to make a haunted house that you could use. Actually, I think it was a haunted submarine, to be fair. It's a haunted submarine that we could use in our play area in the morning. So he's going to add more details to this one. Here we have, this one is a lost and found that is again organized. Apparently they don't like my non-organization for these things. So this one is a lost and found where they have different areas for the different things that students can come easily grab. This one is a quiet work time sign. So kind of like our privacy dividers, do work when it's time. And this is supposed to remind you to be nice and quiet when you're doing your independent work. Here we have a group that is making a be respectful sign. So they thought we could hang this up in our classroom. This is a big thumbs up in the middle here. And then they have all sorts of stars around it to decorate it. And they're gonna finish this about being respectful. This group I had to cover up right here because they wrote their name on it, but it is a vacuum. So they are making a vacuum for the class. We talked a lot about how, you know, we don't have electricity to give them, but they were just so excited about this that they are coming up with a way to help clean up the classroom with this little vacuum here. And then over here we have a bunch of extras. I need to see what's kind of under here. Oh, this friend, they were making another privacy divider, kind of like our independent work one, but this group was making one for like a quiet calming corner. So if anybody needs a break over in the little calming corner, they would have a nice peaceful place. They had like birds. I think they're making this into a rainbow, a whole peaceful background, but they were so engaged and enthralled in this project. It was so funny. I just put a timer up yesterday for about 25 minutes. I know this is going to be more than one part, so I told them they'll have 25 minutes to kind of work for today, see what they can get done, and then, yeah, we'll start finishing. So after they finish, they'll have another like 20-minute session to just put their finishing touches there. But then we also have to go into a revision lesson. So we kind of talked about the lessons that we'll do for this project, which is they're going to plan it out. They have to revise it, work on it, or no, it was plan, work, that's 3. Plan, work, revise, work again, and then kind of share it. So they've already done their planning, of course. They did one working session, so I might actually talk to them about revising while they're in the middle of it before they finish. So they'll kind of look at it, see what they need to change. I have some guiding questions to ask them, and then they will work on it one more time, and then we will share it with the group, and we will be done with our EL pilot and then hop right into reading. So it's been a busy but a fun few weeks with this. This was very fun to get to see them kind of bring that project to life at the end of all the learning we've been doing around these books. So I was really excited to kind of see them work through that. All right, and then last but not least for social studies, we just learned about our last spot yesterday, our scribbled spot. And we talked about all of these different emotions. We had one day on each of them, and then we kind of shared I feel blank when, and we just gave different ideas, talked about that scribbled spot yesterday, how we have sometimes more than one emotion, or we don't know which emotion we're really feeling, and how we try to sort it out. They gave some good examples, like going to bed. They're like, I know I'm so tired, but also I don't want to go to bed, and they're just feeling all those different emotions. And then we finished our little booklets, which I've shared before. I'll link them again down below, but just our free little emotion booklets. And then on Thursday, so not today because it's day to day, but on Thursday, we will do our bulletin board. So everybody will get to pick one of these emotions, and they'll write one nice sentence sharing when they feel that way. I can insert a picture of it, boop, right here in the middle of the screen from last year. So there we go. That is kind of everything we are up to. Today, since it's day to day, I'm not going to be teaching all day. I have a sub in the classroom, so we're doing a lot of review. So I'm going to get those plans ready now to make sure everything's good to go for when I go up for day to day. But then Thursday and Friday, we are kind of finishing up all of the same things that we're doing. Digraphs still, personal narratives. We're going to take that plan and start doing a writing altogether. And then Friday, we will actually brainstorm for our own ideas that we're going to go and take and write next week. Let's see. Social studies, I told you we were finishing that. In reading, we are finishing up our EL projects. Math, instead of fact families again, we are going to talk about just decomposition within 10 and really just go over like those friends of 10 numbers with a lot of manipulatives. Also, I can't remember if I made a YouTube video about it or if it was an Instagram video. Whatever it is, I'll put it here just so you can see it, and I'll try to link it down below. But for fact families, it's really hard to make those hands-on. So one thing I love to do with that is use those red and yellow counters. So we will be doing like an additional lesson on that using the techniques I've taught in that video. So like I said, I'll link that down below. And then, yeah, that'll be the end of the week. It'll be Fun Friday, and it'll be another weekend. And next week we already have parent-teacher conferences. So it is flying. Let me get some stuff ready for day to day. And then I think what I'll do is at the end of today, I'll pop in and let you know, just because I want to make sure I have everything set up. But I will make sure I tell you what day to day is all about, what we do during day to day, and why I love it so much. So I will see you in a little bit. Popping in from way later. I am now at my boys' soccer practice, but I had to run out after school, so I didn't get a chance to pop in and let you know what day to day was all about and how it went. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Day to day was great. I love day to day. People have mixed opinions because, you know, you sit, I mean, as like a teacher, you're up and like, especially first grade teacher, you're up walking around a lot. It's very busy. This is definitely like a day of presentations and sitting and listening, and you're not moving a lot. So definitely lots of stretch breaks, but I love day to day. So what we do here at our school is we have a full day for kindergarten, a full day for first grade, and a full day for second grade because we are a K through 2 school. And what we do is we take all the screeners that we did, and at our school we use M-Class and AimsWeb, M-Class for reading, AimsWeb for math. And then we also use DESA, it's called. It's through like Aperture, and that is a social emotional screener as well. So there's 3 different screeners that our kids get, just to, you know, try to find any deficits or skills that students might need and see which students we will be picking up for WIN services. So if they need extra support in reading, extra support in math, as well as any extra support in a social emotional area. So all that being said, after we did all of our screening, all of the interventionists, they all get together, they compile the data, and we get all our reports for, you know, our classrooms individually, but then we also get a full look at the entire first grade. It's a great time for the team to kind of come together and talk about all the students in the grade level and not just which students, you know, not just our own students. So it's really good because, you know, if another teacher has a student who is working on a certain skill and my student also needs that, we can easily share resources. We can kind of talk about it. If that student needs to be pulled for RTI, we can discuss when that happens. So our day is kind of split up into 3 sections. First, we will either do reading or math. Today we did math. And so we kind of looked first at our overall grade level data. We talked about different observations that we saw, just different things we noticed from the data. So for example, this year's like number sense or number comparison was really, really strong. So we noticed that already our students are starting off strong in that area. We identified areas that we're going to work on this year, and things like that. So it helps kind of guide our instruction. And then we also then take a look at the students that are in red or yellow. We identify all those students in red first, which red would just mean like at like a higher risk, essentially, high risk of not meeting those grade level standards by the end of the year. So we make sure that those students are discussed by their teachers and kind of go over just similar patterns that they might be seeing in class or reasons why that student might be behind, just so everybody's kind of on the same page. And then we will be determining if that student will go to a win group. And for a win group, what that means is I have a whole video about what my win block looks like, but walk to win is what it's called. And it's essentially those students who might need some pullout services just to kind of get that double dip, what we call that extra, you know, curriculum support. So they're still in my class during math time, but then they also might go get a 15 to 20 minute small group lesson with our math interventionist. So there's a few different options. They could either go to a walk to win group. They could be just push-in support. So our math interventionist can come to our math block, and that way they could see that student and work with them kind of in real time on what we're working on. Or we might just progress monitor that student if they're kind of on the line, or if we feel like, not that it's a false report, but if we feel like there's not as much of a concern, maybe it was just a testing thing, or, you know, that day wasn't going so well, as we know these things happen with students, we might just progress monitor them throughout the fall and into winter just to see how they're progressing. So those are kind of the options. Then we do the same thing for reading. We get all of our data, make our observations, determine our groups. And then at the very end of the day, we do the same thing for SEL, so for social emotional learning. So there's a few different areas that the DESA kind of screens for. I can't remember all of them right now. I know there's one is growth mindset, another is like empathy and kindness, another's emotional, it's not called emotional regulation, but essentially I think it was like emotional regulation. And we as teachers kind of walk through a big screening tool, just answering like how often does this child display these behaviors or not display them, and then that gives us the information to determine if they have a deficit in some area or if they need to work on something or whatever. So then also skills groups are made for that too. So if you have, you know, 4 or 5 students that are really popping in growth mindset, and of course, like most first graders are working on growth mindset, that's something we work on all the time, and the power of yet. But if they are found to be, if they have like flagged in this area, then it's something they really need to work on, and they could benefit from these special, more like small group lessons with one of the guidance counselors to just help them achieve those goals and get there. So like I said, I love day-to-day. I love looking at data anyway. And then I love getting the chance to just listen to all the other teachers, listen to their students. Really makes you feel like you're all one big community instead of it's just you and your class and your students. So that is day-to-day. I can't say at any other school I've had anything like this. I really love the way my school does day-to-day. And then of course the school, like, you know, make sure we all have subs for the whole day and make sure that's all taken care of so we can feel at ease when we go off to kind of do this for the day, and we're still in the building. So if, you know, if anybody really needed us, we could be right there. But I really like the way we do it. I would like to know, like, do any of your schools do anything similar to this? Is this like completely unheard of? I don't know. I'd really like it. It makes us feel, like I said, much more of a community and much more of a professional learning community too. I mean, as teachers, we all, you know, are professionals and we get to be in our classrooms, but this allows us to kind of bounce ideas off each other, hear from one another, and kind of brainstorm about our students. And so we'll do this again in the winter after our winter screening. And then we will do this again at the end of the year. And at the end of the year, obviously we're not making win groups because it's the end of the year. So instead we're talking about trends we see, things we might want to change for next year. And we also get a chance at the end of the year to just discuss students that might be coming into our classroom the following year. So we can kind of get a heads up on different things that those students might need to work on too. So yeah, let me know if you do anything similar. All right, I brought my computer because there's a few work things I have to do while they are playing soccer. So I'm gonna hop off and do that. I do hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please give me a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.